Here I'm wanting to enter a few comments regarding the relationship between our citizenship duties as American citizens and the New Energy Declaration petition, which calls for a public debate and review of revolutionary clean energy and transportation technologies that have been formally locked down clandestinely by our own federal government without the public knowing anything about it, associated with Section 181 of the 1951 Invention Secrecy Act. Also, a huge caseload history of private sector initiated black shelving, big energy firms taking revolutionary, clean, needed energy and transportation technologies out of circulation by buying them and then storing them away, black shelving them, oftentimes involving violation of antitrust statutes, violation of RICO statutes against organized crime, and these things are known by the NSA, by the FBI, by the CIA. But where big energy has not stepped in over the period of the last 50 and more years to take a paradigm improving, paradigm breaking innovation in this huge, largest sector of the global economy, energy and transportation, off the market. The big energy firms know that the CIA will step in quietly and on the taxpayer's dime do the same thing under the color of law, national security law, associated with the 1951 Invention Secrecy Act. And we the people, whose government and democracy this is, according to founding principles, know nothing about this, are not told anything about this, even when it's our own taxpayer funding in the black budget skunk works associated with the main defense contractors who have developed this magnificent free energy technology that we the people need, both to improve our own quality of life here and internationally, to share with people around the planet and greatly reduce tensions between societies, end the oil wars under false flag and misrepresented agendas, heal Mother Earth, and lift up the average quality of human life dramatically. People are worried about population. When you increase the quality of life for everyone, education for women, quality of life for women, birth rates naturally drop. We've experienced this in the United States, in Europe, and in Japan over the period of the last 50 or so years. It's a well-documented phenomenon. We the people need to be told by our own government, hey, here's a huge range of exciting energy and transportation technologies that we're not allowing Al Gore and the others to tell you about. Instead, there are crazy ideas being circulated about covering our roadways with photovoltaics technology. Very expensive. Taxpayers are supposed to fund it. We're already on the dime for so many other things that are needless, that are corrupt. Wall Street bailouts. I just read something on the internet saying that the total expenditures for the Iraq War are over $2 trillion now, documented as such. 500,000 some civilians and others killed over there. Afghanistan. What is this all really about? Iraq, Afghanistan. Maybe something to do with global energy supplies, geopolitical, obviously, chess games. Why can't the public be told that our own government is suppressing a range of needed revolutionary energy and transportation technologies? And for every one or two that may be legitimately too dangerous because it somehow competes with nuclear weapons or ICBMs or shoulder-mounted heat-seeking missiles or grenades or machine guns or all the other stuff that's already out there. After all, we can kill people with automobiles and rocks and knives and other things. We have documented in our network over the period of the last 10 to 15 years that there's at least a dozen other cases of technologies that could be released that do not involve any additional threats to our world, which was the original purpose of the 1951 Invention Secrecy Act, but instead have been withheld because they would rock the boat in these largest financial and geopolitical control sectors of the world. And thus, it's very important at the highest level of the CIA, the war planning groups, the big energy firms and so forth, to not allow out the information about these revolutionary breakthrough energy technologies. But now it's a matter of utter national urgency that we get out this information and that our civilizations be allowed to move forward with the kind of huge improvements to life that will occur with revolutionary free energy technologies for off-grid power. Grid power can be supplied at a fraction of the expense because some of these solutions are so inexpensive. Transportation can be free of charge in terms of the fuel. We've had water car type technology, half dozen to a dozen well-documented cases of suppression in the last 40 years. We could have electric vehicles with their own onboard miraculous fuelless generators, or if they're going to be plugged into a wall socket, that can be your own free energy off-grid power generator. This is not something that threatens national security. This is something that enhances national security. This is something that provides we, the United States, at a time in 2014 when our economy is falling apart, with a huge new range of manufacturing and professional and service sector strengths to share with the rest of the world. Therefore, getting these technologies out, which has to begin with a public debate, is something that will dramatically stabilize our world, dramatically increase our true national security, which is associated with economics and friendships and bridges of trust around the world in every way, shape, and form, for the benefit of human health and well-being, quality of life here at home and abroad. It is vital that we bring into public discussion this taboo lockdown subject matter of the suppression, the formal suppression of needed breakthrough energy and transportation technologies, and the complicity of the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, and others in turning a blind eye as private sector big energy firms have been involved in this same kind of suppression. Some of it really blatantly unlawful and in violation of RICO statutes and so forth. So I want to encourage you to endorse the New Energy Declaration at newenergydeclaration.net with a hyphen between the words, and not be bashful, not be shy, not be intimidated, not be afraid about putting your name there. Because I want to refer to a quote from Benjamin Franklin when the Constitutional Conference was ending in the 1780s and he was leaving. And there's a famous quote by him where someone asked him, "Dr. Franklin, so what do we have now, a republic or a monarchy?" And he said, "A republic if you can keep it." And then the first amendments to that Constitution in the Bill of Rights were freedom of speech and freedom of association. But how many of you, my fellow Americans, really use your freedom of speech and your freedoms of association to do things like ratify the New Energy Declaration and say, you know what? I'm fed up with criminal behavior in my own government. I'm fed up with the lying about the real reasons that we've been going to war. I'm fed up with the real expenditures involved in all that, the real death tolls. I'm fed up with any kind of thing like this New Energy Declaration is referring to. I am going to follow Ben Franklin's advice, and I'm going to keep the republic. I don't want it to go back to a funky European monarchy, corrupt society, a latter-day Rome. I don't want another Nero and Caligula or Caligula in the White House. I'm going to exercise my citizens' rights, and this is a citizenship duty. If you think that voting for a Democrat or a Republican in any senatorial, congressional, or presidential race is your citizenship duties, think again. Listen some to Jesse Ventura, who lays out the case very clearly that these are just gangs now. This is a latter-day Rome society, and there is complicity for that across American society. Acts of commission, acts of omission. working for the no-bid contractors and the defense contractors that you know are involved in really funky agendas that are not right, working for the big pharmaceutical firms and the Monsanto type firms and others that you know are involved in things that are not right, working in federal government agencies or for law firms doing things that you know are not right. There's a lot of complicity all the way down the line. But the good-hearted people of this country, who are still the majority, need to stand up, and they need to do things like sign the New Energy Declaration and not be intimidated by it. If they have concerns about what really went on with 9/11 or what went on with any other thing that's important, they need to have the courage, the backbone to follow Ben Franklin's advice and get involved and say, you know what, I don't care what you say about it in the mainstream media and your paid shills in Madison Avenue from the military, industrial, whatever, whoever you are, and I know how much money you're making. This is what I'm doing because I'm a U.S. citizen and I take seriously my citizenship duties and I got freedom of speech, even if the Patriot Act has tried to take it away from me, and freedom of association, and here's what I say. Here's what I want to be known for, and here's what I want my children to know me for, standing up for. I have the courage to do that. I have the willingness to do that. I'm at least willing to follow the worthy causes. This is important. So now I want to switch to this military-industrial complex that Dwight Eisenhower warned about in his farewell speech to the nation in January of 1961. And that sector has been the principal one locking down these clean, safe, revolutionary, breakthrough energy and transportation technologies our world so desperately needs. There is corruption throughout our government at this point. It's fairly advanced. And every regulatory agency that you can mention, whether it's the SEC or the FDA or the DOD as a branch of government, or the Department of Energy, or the Commodities Future Trading Commission, or any other, have corruption associated with the money powers. Washington, D.C. is right here, and it's the political capital. New York City's right next to it, and it's the financial capital. We got real problems there. The Founding Fathers, the initial group that was debating things in the Federalist Papers that formed the Constitution, were aware of these kind of pressures of the money powers and of corruption, could go the latter-day Rome route. And they just had their fingers crossed, checks, balances, a free media, freedom of speech, freedom of association, and like what Benjamin Franklin said, you got to keep that republic. You got to work on it. Thomas Jefferson spoke, many quotes that you can find, him talking about the need for the citizenry to remain alert. Dwight Eisenhower, in his farewell speech to the nation, former Supreme Allied military commander in World War II in the European theater, a man of honor and a man of courage, an honest man. We haven't had enough in the presidency since. Former President of the United States said the following: "We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination, profit, defense sector, endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel, not beg, a free people with freedom of speech and freedom of association, land of the free and home of the brave, should not be begging. Compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machine of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together." This has not happened, and we're in an advanced stage of economic and social and political meltdown at this time in 2014. Please endorse the New Energy Declaration at newenergydeclaration.net with a hyphen between the words, and recommend to your friends, family, and associates that they do likewise. Let's put our nation back on a course to honest government and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for everyone. Thank you.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.